Hi everybody, it's Crazy, it's Friday, and it's time for the UPBGE Learned Experience. Now, we're up to episode number 4, but before I get started, gotta give a shout out to my trusted, because you guys rock. To my Crazy fam, I love you guys. And to my patrons, thank you for all your support. So, I left off 2 weeks ago at Materials and Texture. So I'm actually going to turn off my camera and I'm going to just read from this and save y'all some trouble of me having some really bad background effects going on. I did like 3 or 4 different takes to try to do this, and I'm trying a new webcam and it still does about the same thing as my other camera, so I haven't decided. Y'all let me know. Tell me what y'all think. Do y'all like the old camera or do you like the new camera? Let me know. Tell me what you think. Okay, drop it in the comments below. Or hop on over to the server and say, hey, Crazy, yeah, I like it, I hate it. Okay, so let's go ahead and switch on over. And I'm going to disable my ugly mug. And we're going to go from right here, which is materials and textures. Okay, so I'm going to kind of run through this and go on about this. And like I said, I'm going on through each one of these. If you missed it, the other 3 episodes, I will have a link somewhere up at the top or over to the side somewhere that shows you that you can actually go to and see it, the very first video, or you can go to last 2 weeks video. Okay, so anywho, we're up to materials and textures. Okay, using polygons, you can define a shape. Using polygons, you can define a shape of a mesh. Okay, basically your polygons make up a mesh, which is an object. Okay, to alter the color and appearance of it, you need to apply materials to the object. Okay, material controls the color, shininess, bumpiness, and even transparency of the object. These variables ultimately all serve to add details to the object. So in other words, it makes it look more real. Okay. Often changing the color is not enough to make a surface look realistic. This is where textures come in. Texturing is a common technique used to add color and detail to a mesh by wrapping a mesh with an image. Basically like a decal. Okay. Imagine a toy globe. If you carefully peel off the paper map that is glued onto the plastic ball and lay it out flat on a table, that map would be the texture and the plastic ball would be the mesh. Okay, I'm going to scroll down here. Plastic ball, paper. Okay, the projection of the 2D image onto the 3D mesh is called texture mapping. This is very important, something that everybody knows when they get into texturing. Okay, texture mapping can be an automatic process using one of the predefined projections, or a manual process which uses a UV layout to map the 2D image onto the 3D mesh. Okay, so this shows you your plastic ball, your mesh, and if you put it on your mesh and you do it correctly using texture mapping, you will actually have a little globe with this texture on it, wrapped around it. Okay. Traditionally, a texture changes the color of a surface, but that's not all it can do. Textures can also be used to alter other properties of the surface, such as its transparency, its reflectivity, and even bumpiness, to create the illusion of a much more detailed surface. Okay, as you see right here, you get your bricks, and then you get 2 other textures. I'm going to go on about these textures here in just a moment, and I will follow them through with you. Okay, a diffuse map controls the base color of the surface. Okay, so that's this right here. This is your base color, your base picture, so to speak. Okay, a normal map controls the surface normal of an object, creating a bumpy effect by changing the way the light is reflected off the object. That right here is your normal map, or what a lot of people call your bump map. Okay, a specular map controls the specular reflection of an object, making it look shiny in certain places and dull in others. Okay, so anything that's black is actually really, really dull. Okay, it's so dull that doesn't even have any shine to it. Anything closer to white, okay, white would be super reflective, black would be non-reflective at all. So the more white you see in it, like these little bricks right here, and right here, and right here, those right there are actually going to have a little bit of reflection, but as you see, they're kind of grayish, so they're not going to be as reflective as say, for example, a mirror. All right, so a texture map can also have transparent pixels, rendering part of the object transparent. Okay, so we'll go on about that in a later part. Okay, so generally, textures are image files, but there are also other ways to texture a surface, such as using a procedural texture. Now, procedural textures are pretty awesome. If you get into texturing and you're learning how to make things look a certain way, procedural textures are pretty fun. Okay, so I'm going to continue reading here. Procedural texture differs from an image in that it's generated by an algorithm in real time, rather than from a pre-made image file, such as your little map that you had on your globe. This one right here, procedural texture, okay, actually makes different bumps on it, and it'll change it all up. And as you move through it, it actually changes it even more because it's using an algorithm that goes on forever. Okay? The Blender game engine does not support procedural textures yet. Yes, it does. Actually, from the writing of this book, they didn't have it then, but now they do, because UPBGE 0.2.0 has it, and all the way up to 0.2.5b. And also, if you're going to get into 3.0, I suggest you get into the older version first to get your feet wet, so to speak, and then jump into 3.0. But this right here is just to help those people who are into the older version of Blender, who really want to understand how Blender works. So they do have it now. So the Blender game engine doesn't support it, but UPBGE does support procedural textures. Okay. Alright, so on to lights. Everything you see is the result of light hitting your eyes without lights. The world would be pitch black. So if you didn't have light, without lights hitting your eyes, the world would be pitch black, correct? So likewise, light is just as important in a virtual world. With lights comes shadow as well. Shadow might not be something that you think about every day, but the interplay of shadow and light makes a huge difference in how a scene is presented. In most 3D applications, there are several different types of light available to the artist. Each type has its advantages and disadvantages. For example, a spot lamp approximates a lamp with a conical influence. Okay, so it's just got a spot and it goes only to a certain point. Okay, a sun lamp, okay, approximates a light source from infinitely far away. So a sun it's like our sun in the sky. We see this big ball, but it's so far away, and but it still shines enough light. That's basically a sun lamp. Okay, lamps in Blender are treated like regular objects. They can be positioned and rotated just like any other object. Okay, now this shows a few lights. This is a point lamp. This is a directional lamp. This is a cone, and this right here is a Hemi. I can't remember exactly what this one is, but I don't know, just ask somebody on the Discord server. There's an UPBGE Discord server. You can go there and check them out, talk to them. You can also check out some of the other links in the description that can actually help you out with getting in touch with people who can actually help you learn even more. I'm the type person that if you got a lot of questions, if I can answer them, I will do my best. Okay, so thinking of lighting as more than something like that makes your scene visible, good lighting can enhance the purpose of a scene by highlighting details while hiding irrelevant areas in shadow. Skillful placement of lighting also adds drama and realism to the scene, making an otherwise boring scene look visually exciting. Okay, let's go ahead and go to camera. Okay, you got different views of the camera here. Okay, when you are creating a 3D scene, you are looking at a virtual world from an omniscient view. In this mode, you can view and edit the world from any angle, just like a movie director walking around a set in order to adjust things. Once the game starts, the player must view the game through a predetermined camera. Okay? Note that the predetermined camera does not mean that the camera is fixed. Almost all I'll scroll down a little bit. Almost all games have a camera that reacts to a player's input. In an action game, the camera tends to follow the character from behind. In a strategy game, the camera might be hovering high above, looking down. In a platformer, the camera is usually looking at the scene from the side. A camera is also treated as a regular object in Blender, so you can manipulate its location and orientation just as you can with any other object. Okay, drawing and composition for visual storytellers. Okay, speaking of lights and cameras, this is the part where we point out the wonderful book by I'm gonna let y'all guess that because I cannot get his name right, and I don't like messing up people's name. I hate when my name gets messed up. So, what he called it was the framed ink. The book uses tons of beautiful drawings to illustrate the many key principles in visual storytelling. Okay, so I'm going to end it here. Let me see what my time is up to. Yeah, it's about that time. Okay, so I try to keep them within 15 minutes, between 10 and 15, due to the fact that I don't like to bore somebody, and if I went through this entire book, it'd be several hours long, and yeah, that's not really good to do. So, with that being said, I'm going to switch back over to here. I'm going to go ahead and turn back on my camera. Hey, there I am. Nope, I'm stuck. Okay, hang on just a second. If I don't use the camera too quickly or use the camera that much, it tends to fall asleep. That's the new thing about this camera. But I'm going to leave it at animation, and that's going to be my last one I do for this week. And so stay tuned for next week because this one is one I'm working on actually right now, which is animation in a game called Oops and a game called You Can't Die. If you'd like to learn more about them, jump on over to my server, and ask me. Can't hurt. So I'm working on those. If you're a Patreon, you actually get to see these firsthand. A lot of the stuff that I've been doing, a lot of the concepting I've been doing, trying to get these two games in motion. If you would like to be part of that, link is in the description for my Patreon page. There's also a lot more other perks, but for the time being, the main perk is you get to see the certain videos that I'm working on. You get to see what I'm actually working on and where I'm going from there. Okay, and got to give a shout out to a couple people that always help me out and literally jump in there every time I ask for a little bit of help. Day, dude, you're awesome. Okay, love your Game 3 engine, and I'll need to check that out too. The Game 3 engine, it's going to be a thing. Okay, I got to give a shout out to eMaster, who was really, really a talented guitar player. He's one of the guys that I did a couple of things with in the Blender Wars, and we also got Fred, who's helped me out a little bit trying to understand a couple of things. But the Blender Wars was a project that I got into and I did some work on. I can't show any of that because of the fact that that's his baby. But the fun thing was I actually learned a lot and made some new friends, and those friends are actually helping me out trying to get a better grasp on game design and how to build my game. Okay, or actually games because I got several. All right, so till next week, we'll see y'all next week. Well, not next week, 2 weeks. We'll see you all in 2 weeks, and we'll go with animations. Till next time.